Welcome back to Stoic Wisdom TV. Let's dive into something profound, something that might just shift the way you see the world. Picture this: you're holding a prism up to a beam of light. That single, pure ray hits the glass, and on the other side, it explodes into a spectrum of color shreds, blues, greens, each hue shaped by the angle, the cut, and the clarity of the prism itself. The ancient Stoics, those hard-hitting philosophers from Greece and Rome, believed our minds work in exactly the same way. Life's events, the light streaming in air, neutral. They don't come with a built-in meaning, an agenda, or the power to hurt us. They just are. But the way we experience them, that's all about how our minds refract that light. We bend it, twist it, or clarify it through our thoughts, our perceptions, our choices. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor who wrestled with chaos daily yet found peace in philosophy, put it like this: the soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts, your emotional state, your peace or torment, your joy or despair. It's not the world doing that to you. It's how you see the world. Perception is everything. This ain't just some soft meditation on life's unpredictability, though. Now, this is a battle cry, a call to arms for anyone gutsy enough to take back control of their own mind. It's a challenge to discipline your thinking until it stands like a rock against life's storms, unmoved by insults, unshaken by chaos, and immune to the illusion that you can control everything. Here's the raw, brutal truth: the world will never, ever be calm. It's a mess out there, always has been, always will be. But you can be calm. That's the one thing in your power. And let me tell you, just getting up each morning, stepping into a world full of uncertainty, conflict, loss, and endless expectations takes a kind of courage most folks don't even recognize. It's not always the big, heroic acts that define us. It's the quiet grit, the stubborn will to rise one more time, to face one more challenge, to keep going when life feels like a heavyweight pressing down on your chest. The Stoics got this better than anyone. They taught that the courage to endure, to push forward without whining, to keep standing when everything's against you, that's the bedrock of every other virtue. What follows in this deep dive isn't just academic fluff or abstract theory. It's a practical roadmap, a set of stepping stones toward what the Stoics called apatheia, freedom from being tossed around by passions, freedom from disturbance, freedom from being enslaved by stuff you can't control. We're not just going to talk philosophy here. We're going to carve it into your everyday life. We'll walk through the trials, the discomforts, the mental workouts that'll train your mind to stay cool no matter how wild things get. 'Cause a strong mind, just like a strong body, ain't something you're born with. It's forged through resistance, repetition, and brutal honesty with yourself. So, buckle up. Let's build that unshakable calm together, step by step, through the lens of Stoic wisdom applied to our messy, modern world. Let's start at the root. The world is chaotic. People will insult you. Life will let you down. Things will spiral out of your control. Circumstances won't bend to your wishes, and folks will rarely act the way you want them to. The Stoics didn't sugarcoat this reality. They stared it dead in the eye and embraced it without flinching. They taught that it's not the external world, the winds, the waves, the noise that messes with us. It's our interpretation of it. It ain't the storm that rattles the sailor, it's how he sees the storm. You are the prism. Life's events hit you like light, neutral, indifferent, without meaning or malice. Whether it's tragedy, betrayal, hardship, or even a stroke of good luck, that light enters your mind raw. But how it splits into sorrow or strength, bitterness or growth, rage or resolve, if it's on you. The Stoics hammered home that your mind is the ultimate filter, the one variable in life's equation you can always control. Think about Marcus Aurelius for a second. This guy woke up every day not to peace or comfort, but to a battlefield of political backstabbing, betrayal, illness, and war. His empire was teetering on the edge. His so-called allies schemed behind his back. His own body was breaking down from sickness and exhaustion. Yet, in the quiet hours before dawn, before the grind of power kicked in, he'd sit and write to himself not as an emperor, but as a student of life. In those private reflections, later compiled as meditations, he reminded himself, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Imagine that. A man with the weight of the world on his shoulders, surrounded by deception and death, always circling back to the same truth. Calm and strength don't come from fixing the world's problems. They come from mastering how you see them. So where do we begin? Not by trying to control the uncontrollable, not by forcing the world to fit our plans, but by learning to control our lens. Step back from the noise and look at not just the events, but the layers of meaning we slap on them without even thinking. We've got to become sharp custodians of our inner dialogue, aware of how the stories we tell ourselves about each situation can either chain us down or set us free. It takes raw honesty to admit how often we blow things out of proportion with assumptions, exaggerations, and fears. A sideways glance, a missed call, a change in plans, these turn into insults, betrayals, disasters. Not because they are, but because we load them with that weight. The Stoics teach us to unravel these narratives, to strip life back to its bare bones, and then deliberately choose how we'll frame it. By owning the stories we tell ourselves, we reclaim authorship of our experience. We craft a narrative not of victimhood, but of agency, not of chaos, but of clarity. We shape a story that empowers us to meet life with resilience, poise, and grace. That's where true freedom lives, not in dodging difficulty, but in deciding what difficulty means to us. It's a shift from being at the mercy of events to being the architect of our response. Here's a practical move. Every evening, jot down 3 things that threw off your peace that day. Next to each, write how you could have seen it differently. How would a Stoic reinterpret that moment? Maybe that rude comment wasn't a personal attack, but a reflection of the other person's bad day. Maybe that missed deadline wasn't a failure, but a chance to reassess your approach. This exercise isn't about ignoring reality. It's about reframing it to serve your growth. Over time, you'll see how much power you have over the colors your mind paints. You'll start bending the light of life towards strength, not suffering. Let's get real about something we often overlook. Emotions are contagious. You soak up what you surround yourself with. Drop a sponge in muddy water, and it's gonna come out dirty. Hang around outrage, anger, or anxiety, and you'll absorb it without even noticing. Let insults, envy, or bitterness linger in your head, and they'll start running the show. They'll dictate your mood, cloud your thoughts, and steal your peace. The emotional atmosphere you breathe becomes the air of your inner world. Epictetus, a former slave turned Stoic heavyweight, cut straight to the bone with this. If someone tried to take control of your body, you'd fight for freedom. Yet how easily you hand over your mind to anyone who insults you. That's not just a jab. It's a mirror showing how quick we are to surrender our calm to emotional intruders. Modern science backs up what the Stoics knew way back when, even without fancy brain scans. Mirror neurons in your head light up when you see others in distress, fear, or rage. The agitation of those around you ripples through your nervous system like an invisible current. Walk into a room thick with anger or panic, and you might carry that vibe long after you've left, not because it's yours, but because you soaked it up without a filter. Today's world cranks this up to 11. We're not just hit by the emotions of people nearby. We're bombarded by digital noise. The news cycle thrives on outrage, conflict, and fear, colonizing your thoughts until it drives your behavior without you clocking it. Social media algorithms push the most divisive, enraging stuff to the top, ensuring every scroll, every headline, every ping drips a little more anxiety or anger into your system. It's a slow, invisible poisoning of the soul. But here's the good news. This ain't inevitable. You can't stop others from being angry, anxious, or rude, but you can stop yourself from mirroring them. You can draw a hard line between their turmoil and your inner landscape. You can be the eye of the storm, the still point where chaos swirls, but never touches you. This isn't apathy or coldness. It's sovereignty over your mind. It's emotional discipline at its peak. It's choosing, moment by moment, what feelings you let take root inside you. It's deciding whether you'll be ruled by others' turbulence or stand firm in your own calm. It's guarding your inner peace like a soldier guards a fortress, not casually, not occasionally, but with fierce vigilance, knowing your entire mental well-being depends on it. Here's a challenge. For one full day, practice emotional fasting. When someone tries to provoke you, whether through rudeness, urgency, or negative imagine, their words bouncing off an impenetrable shield around your mind, observe without absorbing. Watch their anger or stress like you'd watch a storm through a window, acknowledging it, but not letting it soak you. Notice how often you're tempted to take on their baggage and consciously refuse. This isn't about ignoring people, it's about protecting your headspace. Over time, this practice builds a mental barrier that keeps out emotional toxins and preserves your clarity. You'll start to see how much of your unrest is borrowed, not owned, and how much power you have to reject it. To be calm is to be present. It's to root yourself in the here and now, not getting swept away by what-ifs or should-haves. Anxiety is born in the future, a child of uncertainty, spun from events that haven't happened and might never happen. Regret, on the other hand, is a ghost from the past, haunting you with what could have been, chaining you to mistakes you can't undo. The Stoics saw this clear as day. Peace only exists in the present moment. Seneca, one of their sharpest minds, wrote, "True happiness is to enjoy the present without anxious dependence upon the future." Calm isn't found in daydreams of tomorrow or replays of yesterday's fumbles. It lives right here, in this breath, pure and free like a clear sky with no clouds in sight. Every time you replay an insult, you're giving up the present. You let someone's careless words steal your time twice when they said it. And again every time you relive it. Every time you worry about what might happen tomorrow. You ditch your power and waste energy on shadows that may never take shape. A Stoic knows all problems start when the mind leaves the now. When you mentally jump to a future that ain't real or a past you can't change, you lose the only thing you truly own, this moment. It's here you can act. It's here you can think straight. It's here you can find peace. Calm ain't about dodging challenges. It's about anchoring yourself in the present, standing firm in what is, unmoved by what was or what might be. A mind trained in this awareness becomes like a still lake, reflecting the sky without rippling at every passing cloud. Thoughts of the future might pop up, but they glide across the surface without stirring the depths. Memories of the past might visit, but they drift off like leaves on a breeze. It's a practice, a discipline, a choice you gotta make over and over until it's second nature. The more you return to the present, the stronger you get. The less you let your mind wander backward into sorrow or forward into anxiety. The more bulletproof you become against life's storms. You start to realize calm isn't something you chase out there in the world. It's something you build inside, one breath at a time. Here's the secret. The present isn't just a fleeting dot on a timeline. It's the axis your whole life spins on. It's the only moment you really have. Everything else, some worries, predictions, is just mental smoke and mirrors. The present is the forge where your character gets shaped, the arena where your virtue gets tested, the soil where your future's seeds are planted. It's the battleground where you choose wisdom over impulse, clarity over confusion, courage over fear. It's where you rewrite your story, not with grand promises, but with small, deliberate moves. Calm is born not in the absence of noise, but in your ability to choose where your mind rests amid the racket. It's not about killing hardship, but meeting it with composure, deciding how to respond even when everything's spinning out of control. Try this. Carry a small coin in your pocket. Every time your mind drifts to the past or future, touch that coin. Let it yank your awareness back to this moment, this breath. It's a simple anchor, but it works. Over time, you'll notice how often you're mentally elsewhere, and how much power you gain by pulling yourself back. The present, when you fully live in it, isn't a cage, it's an endless well of possibility. You'll see that everything you've been hunting, peace, joy, clarity, grit, was never in the future or the past. It's been here all along, waiting for you to come home to it. A calm mind ain't built in comfort. It's forged in adversity, hammered into shape like iron on an anvil. The Stoics got that real strength, mental or otherwise, can grow in softness or luxury. It comes from discomfort, challenge, and self-imposed hardship. They practice voluntary discomfort not as masochists, but as warriors prepping for life's unpredictability. They deliberately put themselves in tough spots, going without food, sleeping on hard ground, facing cold or heat, because they knew something key. If you can handle discomfort by choice, you're way less rattled when it shows up uninvited. The difference between chosen hardship and unexpected suffering is preparation. When discomfort's familiar, it loses its bite. It turns from a battlefield into a training ground. We can do the same. When we skip small comforts, maybe passing on a meal, waking up before dawn, or tackling a task we dread would teach our minds a critical lesson. Calm ain't handed to us by perfect conditions. It's something we carry inside, no matter what's going on outside. Voluntary discomfort inoculates you against future hardship. It conditions your mind to stay steady when life inevitably gets rough. It reminds you that suffering often comes from unfamiliarity. Make discomfort a friend, and you strip away its power to scare you. It's not just about toughening up, it's about learning. It shatters the illusion that we need certain things: comfort, ease, predictability to be happy, strong, or whole. This goes beyond the physical, too. When you dive into learning something new, when you tackle a skill you don't get, when you face something you've dodged out of fear of failing, you're stepping into the same fire. You're picking discomfort over safety. And in that struggle, you learn. Every beginner feels awkward. Every new skill feels alien. Every fresh concept is a storm of confusion. But when you lean into that mess, when you push through the frustration of not knowing, you become a student of discomfort. You don't just pick up the skill, you learn a bigger truth. Failure ain't a threat. It's a teacher. Every mistake sharpens you. Every flop humbles you. Every stumble builds grit. You learn how to learn. And you find out that the fear of failing was way worse than failing itself. Each act of voluntary hardship, whether it's skipping a snack, getting up early, or facing a tough convo, whispers to your mind, I can endure. I can withstand. I'm in control. Those whispers pile up into a belief, and that belief turns into an identity rooted in inner power, not outer ease. It's how you shift from being at the mercy of circumstances to mastering your response to them. Calm ain't given, it's earned, shaped, and practiced until it's unbreakable. So, start small. Pick one discomfort this week, maybe a cold shower or saying no to a comfort you usually grab. Feel the resistance, then push through. Notice how your mind adapts, how it grows. That's the Stoic training ground, and it's where real calm is built. Life ain't gonna play nice with your plans. People will let you down. Systems will crash. Promises will break. Expectations will shatter. And challenges will hit when you least expect them. These disruptions suck, no doubt, but they're inevitable. The Stoics didn't just accept this, they flipped it on its head. They taught that every obstacle is a teacher. Every hardship a chance to sharpen your mind and toughen your spirit. Life's trials aren't interruptions to your path, they're the path itself. They're not detours, they're the curriculum. Marcus Aurelius nailed it when he wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." That's not just pretty words. It's a practical guide to handling life's curveballs. He saw that the stuff we resist, the barriers we hate, are exactly what shape us, teach us, and prep us for what's next. Adversity is the grindstone that hones character. A calm mind doesn't resent obstacles. It welcomes them as the gym of the soul. Each difficulty is a weight to lift, a challenge to rise to, a straight-up invite to grow stronger. When plans fall apart, a Stoic doesn't see defeat, they see instruction. When someone screws them over, they don't stew in betrayal. They figure out how to respond with grace and dignity. Every setback turns into a drill in patience, perseverance, and perspective. Obstacles stretch us past what we thought we could handle. They force us to get resourceful, adaptable, patient. They rip away our illusions of control and show us who we really are under pressure. In that crucible of adversity, the Stoic mind gets tempered not in ease, but in the fire of resistance. Each challenge is a lesson in humility, reminding us we're not entitled to a smooth ride, but we are responsible for how we navigate the bumps. Walking a rough road with courage and clarity turns stumbling blocks into stepping stones. Obstacles refine us. They expose the untested corners of our character, the hidden fears, the fragile egos, the urge to quit when it gets hard. They spotlight where we're still weak, where our self-image is shaky, where our wisdom hasn't been battle-tested. But instead of breaking us, they become the forge where we choose who we want to be. They burn away illusion, entitlement, and weakness, leaving something tougher, leaner, clearer. When life throws the unplanned and unwanted at you, you're at a crossroads not just of action, but of identity. Do you shrink or rise? Do you react or get wise? Do you let the obstacle drag you down? Or do you use it as raw material to carve a better version of yourself? The more you face hurdles without griping or resentment, the more you see each challenge as a mirror, reflecting your weaknesses, strengths, and untapped potential. They're not burdens, they're chapters in your growth story. Each obstacle, when embraced instead of fought, becomes a sculptor's chisel, shaping your character stroke by stroke. Frustration turns to fuel. Setbacks turn to strategy. Pain turns to purpose. As you start seeing obstacles not as walls, but as windows, a new clarity kicks in only comfort can't teach. You spot how every difficulty carries a message, a lesson tailored to your blind spots and weak spots. Whether it's impatience, pride, fear, or dependency, struggles shine a light on what needs work. They're not interruptions to your path, they're core to your evolution. You develop the knack for stepping back, seeing not just what's in your way, but how it's pushing you towards strength, awareness, and maturity. Obstacles become invites to pause, reflect, and choose your next move with wisdom, not impulse. They're exercises in humility and curiosity, nudging you to ask, what's this moment teaching me? How can this refine me instead of define me? You learn that what stands in your way isn't just something to endure. It's something to engage with, to analyze, to integrate. It's not just a hassle to tolerate till it passes. It's a chance to extract lessons like a miner pulling gold from rock. The obstacle, once feared, becomes a teacher sharpening your mind, strengthening your will, deepening your calm. It's the ground where you build steadiness, integrity, and grit for the road ahead. It's a hidden ally dressed as adversity, guiding you whether you see it or not toward your greatest potential. Over time, you'll look back on these moments not with bitterness, but gratitude. You'll see it was the obstacles, the discomfort, the resistance that forged who you became. Without them, your strength would have stayed dormant, untested, unseen. You'll get that the obstacle wasn't just the way, it was the catalyst for your transformation. Next time something goes sideways, pause. Before reacting, say out loud, "This is my training." Watch how your perception shifts when you view hardship as a lesson, not a punishment. It's a game changer. You start meeting life's punches not with dread, but with a learner's mindset, ready to grow from every hit. Your attention is the gatekeeper of your inner life. What you focus on, people, ideas, task shapes your character. Where your attention goes, your energy follows. And where your energy flows, your life takes form. What you let into your awareness over and over builds the architecture of your inner world. The Stoics guarded their attention like hawks. They knew letting gossip, outrage, or trivial junk into the mind was like polluting a clear stream. They compared the mind to a garden, attention to the water that feeds it. Water weeds like anger, envy, or fear, and that's what'll grow wild. Water discipline, clarity, and courage, and your inner garden thrives, strong and beautiful. What you let grow in your mind becomes the dominant landscape of your soul. We're living in an age of endless distraction. News feeds, arguments, ads are all fighting to hijack your focus. Every phone ping, every headline, every social media scroll is a trade, a piece of your attention for a fleeting hit of stimulation. But most of that stimulation isn't designed to enrich or enlighten you. It's engineered to provoke, agitate, and keep you hooked. It saps your mental energy, fractures your focus, and erodes your inner calm. We're pulled in 1,000 directions every hour, and each pull, though it might seem small, chips away at our ability to maintain stillness. These distractions aren't neutral, they're deliberate. Every click, every swipe, every notification trains your mind to jump, to react, to crave the next bit of novelty. Each tiny tug on your attention is a thread that, over time, unravels the fabric of your mental clarity. The Stoics would have seen this constant barrage as a form of mental pollution, a chaos that invades your inner sanctuary without your consent. It's a slow erosion of the clarity required for calm and composure. The more you expose yourself to it, the harder it becomes to return to a state of peace. Like a river diverted by countless tiny tributaries, your focus becomes scattered and shallow, unable to carve deeply into what truly matters. This is the hidden cost of distraction, the atrophy of your ability to think deeply, reflect honestly, and act deliberately. Every moment spent on the irrelevant is a moment you're not growing, not thinking, not building the life you want. And often, it's the seemingly harmless distractions that are the most dangerous because they accumulate slowly, reshaping your habits and attention span over time. Modern technology amplifies this problem to an unprecedented degree. Research shows that people touch their phones an average of 2,617 times a day, a statistic that highlights how tethered we've become to these devices. Social media platforms, with their infinite scrolls and dopamine-driven algorithms, are designed to keep you engaged longer, not to make you better. As Tristan Harris, a former Google engineer, explained, success in tech is measured by engagement minutes and hours of eyeballs on the product. The longer you stare at your screen, the more ads you see, and the more money these companies make. It's a business model built on capturing your attention, often at the expense of your mental well-being. Features like Infinite Scroll, pioneered by Ozzy Raskin, ensure you spend at least 50% more time on sites, with estimates suggesting that 200,000 human lifetimes are spent scrolling each daytime. That could have been used for something meaningful, beyond just time. These platforms exploit psychological mechanisms like reinforcement learning and intermittent reward systems. Just as B.F. Skinner trained animals with rewards, apps use notifications, likes, and unpredictable content to trigger dopamine releases in your brain, keeping you coming back for more. It's no accident that checking your phone feels like pulling a slot machine. Lever the anticipation of a reward, whether it's a new message or a viral video, creates a compulsive loop. This ludic loop, as termed by psychologist Natasha Dow, mirrors the addictive pull of gambling, except it's not confined to casinos. It's in the hands of children and adults alike, accessible 24/7. Teenagers, in particular, spend an average of 4.8 hours a day on social media, with girls clocking in at 5.3 hours, about 30% of their waking hours lost to scrolling. The impact on mental health is profound. This hyper-distraction doesn't just steal time. It fragments attention and rewires the brain for instant gratification. Activities requiring deep focus, like reading a book or engaging in meaningful conversation, can't compete with the rapid sensory hits of a TikTok video or an Instagram reel. Over time, this degrades our ability to evaluate information critically, as we're overwhelmed by an influx of content and conditioned to rely on algorithms or peer recommendations rather than our own discernment. For young people especially, whose brains are still developing, this constant digital engagement can stunt the growth of patience, self-control, and the capacity for sustained effort. But the Stoics offer a way out. They knew that clarity of thought requires discipline of attention. If you don't direct your mind with intention, the world will direct it for you, and not in your best interest. You'll find yourself living reactively, not intentionally. Your mental energy will be spent long before the real challenges of the day arrive, leaving you depleted and scattered when you need focus most. The modern world, saturated with noise and stimuli, rewards this fractured state. It offers infinite options to distract yourself from discomfort, to numb yourself from reflection, to entertain yourself into apathy. But this is a trap. The more you indulge in mindless consumption, the harder it becomes to confront the real work of living well, the cultivation of virtue, the mastery of your thoughts, the building of a resilient character. To train your mind to remain calm, you must first take control of what you allow into it. Stand guard at the gates of your attention like a watchful sentinel. Your attention isn't just a passive lens, it's an active force that shapes your reality. It determines whether your mind becomes a fortress of peace or a chaotic marketplace of distractions. Guard it like your most valuable resource, because it is. Let in only what strengthens your virtues, sharpens your thinking, and contributes to your inner stillness. Filter what you consume as carefully as you'd filter what you eat or drink, because your mental diet will either nourish or poison you over time. When you begin to consciously curate what you expose your mind to, you'll notice something remarkable. Your calm will no longer be so fragile. Your thoughts will no longer be so scattered. You'll discover a newfound spaciousness within your mind, quietness that allows you to think clearly, act deliberately, and meet life with composure. You'll reclaim ownership of your attention, and in doing so, reclaim ownership of your life. This isn't a what-I'm act, but a daily discipline. With every small act of mindful attention, you'll find yourself becoming not only calmer but freer. Here's a practical step. Audit your daily information diet. Eliminate one source of negativity or distraction this week, whether it's a social media app, a news outlet, or a group chat that constantly pulls you into drama. Replace it with something that strengthens your mind, a book, a thoughtful lecture, or even a moment of silence. Notice how this shift affects your mental state. Over time, these small changes compound, building a mental environment that supports calm rather than chaos. The highest form of calm is not passive acceptance, but active embrace. The Stoics called it amor fati, love of fate. This isn't resignation to misery or a fatalistic shrug. It's an act of courage and supreme clarity. It's welcoming each event, each twist and turn of your life, not as an intruder, but as a vital piece of the greater mosaic of your existence. It's one thing to endure hardship, it's another to say, I welcome this, for it is fuel for my growth. The Stoics believed it's not enough to tolerate what life throws at you, you must lean into it. To love your fate is to stop arguing with reality, to cease futile resistance against what has already happened, and instead embrace it as the very material from which you will shape your virtue. Amor fati is a practice of radical acceptance, an audacious act of making peace with the raw, unchangeable facts of existence and then transforming them into something meaningful. This principle asks you to recognize that life doesn't happen to you, it happens for you. Every struggle, every betrayal, every disappointment, every unexpected loss becomes a lesson in disguise, a hidden gift that can teach you endurance, humility, patience, and strength, even when the world feels unjust or senseless. Amor fati invites you to look deeper and see how these seemingly random events can serve your growth. It's not about pretending pain is pleasant, but realizing that even pain is purposeful when approached with the right mindset. By loving your fate, you step out of the role of victim and into the role of creator. You use the raw materials of misfortune to craft wisdom. You realize that the most challenging chapters of your life are also the ones that shape your character most profoundly. What once appeared as obstacles reveal themselves to be essential ingredients in the making of a strong, resilient, and wise soul. Amor fati isn't blind optimism. It's clear-eyed courage to look at everything life hands you and say, I will make something good out of this. Friedrich Nietzsche, heavily influenced by the Stoics, said, my formula for greatness in a human being is amor fati, that one wants nothing to be different, not forward, not backward, not in all eternity. To practice amor fati is to meet every sunrise and every storm with the same spirit, gratitude. Gratitude not because it's easy or pleasant, but because it's necessary, because it's yours. It's to see that what happens to you is not in your control, but how you choose to respond is. It's to meet every challenge with a quiet resolve that whispers, this too belongs to me. I will shape it. I will grow from it. I will let it make me better, not bitter. The serenity you seek isn't on the other side of changed circumstances. It's waiting for you in the choice to say, this too belongs to me, and I will make something worthy out of it. When you make that choice repeatedly, something extraordinary happens. You no longer fear what life may bring, because you know you can transform anything into fuel for your own becoming. Each morning, repeat this mantra, whatever happens today, I will welcome it as necessary for my growth. Observe how this reframes your daily struggles. A delayed flight becomes a test of patience. A harsh word becomes a chance to practice restraint. A failure becomes a lesson in resilience. Over time, this mindset shifts your entire relationship with life. You stop seeing events as good or bad and start seeing them as opportunities, one a brushstroke. In the painting of your character, one of the simplest yet most powerful techniques the Stoics taught was to delay reaction. It may sound almost too basic to be effective, yet it holds the key to breaking the chain of impulse that enslaves so many of us. In that split second between what happens to you and how you choose to respond, you either surrender your mind to chaos or reclaim it with calm authority. In that fleeting instant, you either become a prisoner to your reflexes or a master of your mind. When insulted, pause. When angered, pause. When anxious, pause. When life throws its darts at you, before you lift your shield or hurl one back, pause. That pause isn't weakness, it's strength. It's a deliberate act of reclaiming sovereignty over your emotions, a conscious interruption of the reflexive chain reaction that would otherwise lead you to say or do something you'll regret. The Stoics knew that the world's provocations cannot harm you unless you let them, but your own unguarded reactions can wound you deeply. Between stimulus and response lies a space, and in that space is your freedom. But that space isn't automatically given. It must be cultivated, stretched, and fortified through practice. It's a skill that must be earned day by day, moment by moment, in the quiet arena of self-awareness. Every time you choose to pause, you expand that space a little further. You create room for wisdom to step in before habit takes over. You make space for your better judgment, your higher nature, to speak louder than your reflexes. You give yourself the rarest of gifts in modern life, the gift of choice amidst chaos. Most people react without thinking, prisoners of habit and impulse, caught in an endless chain of cause and effect. The Stoic understands that true power lies not in domination of others, but in mastery over oneself. This practice is like a muscle. At first, it feels unnatural, difficult, even frustrating. You will forget to pause. You will catch yourself reacting too quickly. You will fail, and that's part of the training. Each failure is a lesson, an invitation to try again. You may pause too late or only after you've reacted poorly, but even that recognition is a sign of growth. With repetition, these small moments of reflection begin to etch new pathways into the mind. They reinforce that you are capable of choosing a better response. Over time, with intentional effort, you'll notice that space opening up. You'll see yourself catching anger before it turns to rage, fear before it spirals into panic, insult before it becomes injury. In that space, you'll find clarity, composure, and calm, the very essence of Stoic mastery. That calm will begin to feel less like a distant goal and more like a companion that walks with you into every room, every challenge, every storm. It will become part of your emotional posture, your default stance amid stress. Beyond the calm, you'll discover something more profound, that the space you create isn't just a pause between stimulus and response. It's the space in which you become who you are. It's the proving ground of your character, the workshop in which you sculpt the person you wish to be. It's the arena where you learn to respond with wisdom instead of instinct, with purpose instead of panic. Every pause, every act of restraint, is a quiet declaration that you refuse to be ruled by anything outside yourself. In those moments of pause, you take responsibility for your own story. You stop being a puppet pulled by the strings of circumstance and become an author who chooses the next line, the next action, the next thought. You become the conductor of your internal orchestra rather than a single instrument, played by emotion and noise. You grow increasingly fluent in the language of self-discipline, and in that fluency, you craft the music of your life with intention. The Stoic pause is more than a strategy. It's a philosophy in motion. It's the physical expression of your inner commitment to live with reason over reaction, courage over compulsion. It reminds you that you are not your impulses. You are not your anger, your anxiety, or your fleeting emotions. You are the one who notices them, the one who can choose to hold them or let them pass. This realization that you are not bound to your first thought or your first reaction creates a kind of spiritual freedom that few ever realize. It's the space where your virtue takes form. Each time you practice this pause, you engrave into your soul the habit of calm strength. You create the foundation of a life not governed by chaos, but by clarity and purpose. You slowly, patiently, and powerfully become the kind of person who can be trusted with hardship, with responsibility, with peace, not because the world has changed, but because you have. That transformation, born in the quiet courage of the pause, is perhaps the most radical form of strength there is. For 1 week, practice the Stoic pause. Whenever you feel triggered, count slowly to 5 before responding. Observe how the urge to react often fades within that pause. Notice how often a moment of restraint saves you from regret. Over time, this small act will build a reservoir of calm that you can draw from even in the most turbulent situations. The Stoics meditated daily on death, not to be morbid, but to clarify what truly matters. For them, the contemplation of mortality wasn't a grim exercise, but a spiritual and philosophical one. An anchor that brought them back to the essentials of life. It stripped away illusions and focused the mind like a blade on what is actually within our control. They believed that to forget death is to drift aimlessly, to lose perspective on what is urgent versus what is simply loud. When you know you are dying because we all are, and you start paying attention to how you are living. Death is the greatest equalizer, and for the Stoics, it was the greatest motivator. Not a shadow to fear, but a light to live by. A reminder that every moment is a non-renewable resource. Seneca wrote, "You act like mortals in all that you fear and like immortals in all that you desire." He pointed to the absurd contradiction we live by, fearing small discomforts as if they are fatal, yet wasting time as though we have infinite tomorrows. The Stoics wanted to turn this delusion on its head. By remembering the certainty of death, they sought to live more vividly, more intentionally, more awake. They saw death not as an end to be feared, but as a teacher that, if remembered daily, could strip away distractions, vanity, and procrastination. For them, every day could be their last, and that made every day precious. Death was the clearest lens through which to view life. To remember that you and everyone you know will die is to eliminate trivial concerns. The pettiness of arguments, the noise of social approval, the endless hunger for morithies fade into insignificance when placed beside the truth. That time is finite. When you meditate on death, you see how precious each moment is. You recognize how miraculous it is to breathe, to love, to choose. You become less reactive, less anxious about things that don't truly matter. You gain the power to prioritize with wisdom, to say no to distractions and yes to what nurtures your soul. Death teaches you to live on purpose, to stop wasting time on things that dull your spirit, and to move toward what makes you truly alive. It calls you to act, to express, to forgive, to engage. It sharpens the edges of your awareness and fuels your courage to live fully and honestly. Memento mori, remember you must die, is not about becoming detached or indifferent. It's about becoming deeply alive. It's a call to presence, to clarity, to courage. It reminds you that your time is limited and therefore infinitely valuable. It urges you to forgive more quickly, to speak more truthfully, to love more deeply, to risk more boldly. It's about living a life so rich in intention, so full of integrity, that if death came tomorrow, you could meet it not with regret, but with readiness. It transforms the fear of loss into a commitment to presence. To live in the shadow of death is to walk with light in your heart, and that light is the essence of calm, the radiance of a mind that no longer fears the inevitable, but uses it as fuel to live fully. Every night before sleep, remind yourself, I may not wake tomorrow. Let me leave today in peace. Let this thought guide how you end your day, solving conflicts, expressing gratitude, letting go of petty grievances. Over time, this practice will shift your perspective, making you more present, more intentional, and more at peace with the fleeting nature of life. The Stoics did not pursue calm for its own sake. They pursued virtue. Calm was merely the byproduct of living rightly. To them, a tranquil mind wasn't an end goal, but a natural outcome of consistently aligning one's actions with reason, discipline, and moral clarity. Peace, in their view, wasn't found by escaping conflict or avoiding discomfort. It was discovered in the steadfast pursuit of excellence in character. It was earned through effort, through hard decisions, through a life shaped around principle, not convenience. Calm wasn't a luxury they indulged in, but a natural consequence of doing what was right, even when it was hard. To practice justice, courage, temperance, and wisdom is to build a mind untroubled by chaos. Justice gives you purpose beyond yourself. Courage anchors you when fear rises. Temperance keeps your desires in check, and wisdom guides you through uncertainty. These virtues form the bedrock of a resilient soul. When you wake each day and strive to live with integrity, when you speak the truth even when it's hard, when you restrain your impulses and act with thoughtfulness, you are practicing the art of stability from within. Every virtuous action, no matter how small, is like a stone laid into the foundation of your inner fortress. You become harder to shake, more difficult to offend, more capable of acting with clarity in the midst of chaos. Calm rises not because the world has grown quiet, but because you have chosen to cultivate stillness in the middle of its noise. By focusing your energy on virtue, you protect yourself from being tossed around by external circumstances. You stop asking the world to change and start transforming how you meet it. You begin to take full responsibility for the way you experience life. The world remains chaotic, but you become unmoved. You walk through storms without letting the storm inside you. You become, as Marcus Aurelius said, like the promontory against which the waves continually break, and yet it stands firm. Living virtuously trains your mind to let go of what is petty and hold firm to what is true. You become more selective with your thoughts, more intentional with your words, more deliberate in your actions. In doing so, you construct an inner temple, one built not of brick and stone, but of values strong enough to withstand the tempests of fortune. That is the Stoic promise, not a life without difficulty, but a life where difficulty refines you instead of destroying you, where hardship is not a curse, but a proving ground, where every challenge becomes an invitation to practice the very virtue you claim to hold. From that daily fire of virtuous effort, calm is born, unshakable and entirely your own. It's the kind of calm that doesn't require silence or safety to exist. It walks with you through conflict, through loss, through uncertainty, and remains. Each morning, choose one virtue to embody that day. Write it down. Let it be your compass, the principle you consciously return to in every decision, every conversation, every challenge you face. Reflect on why you've chosen it, whether it's patience, courage, humility, or discipline, and set a clear intention to live by it throughout the day. Remind yourself that the virtue you carry will influence not only how you act, but how you interpret and respond to everything that happens around you. Whenever you feel your mind being pulled by distractions, frustrations, or emotional impulses, pause and recall the virtue you have chosen. Use it as an anchor to bring you back to yourself. In moments of stress or temptation, ask, what would patience choose here? What would courage demand of me now? Let it become your internal standard, your filter for every thought and action. At the end of the day, take a few minutes to review how well you upheld that virtue. Acknowledge where you succeeded and where you fell short, not to judge yourself, but to learn. Over time, this simple, intentional practice will accumulate like drops of water filling a jar. Before you realize it, you will have shaped yourself into someone who does not simply know the virtues, but lives them. Calm will follow, not as something you chased, but as something you built a bit by habit, choice by choice, until it becomes your natural way of meeting the world. The Stoics often spoke of the inner citadel, a mental fortress where you retreat to find strength, clarity, and peace no matter what rages outside. This citadel isn't a physical place, it's a state of mind, a sanctuary of reason and virtue that you build through daily practice. Marcus Aurelius described it as a retreat within oneself, writing, "Nowhere can man find a quieter or more untroubled retreat than in his own soul." In the midst of external chouse, whether it was the political intrigues of the Roman court, the pressures of war, or personal loss, found solace by turning inward. This inner citadel is a space where the noise of the world fades, where the judgments of others lose their sting, where the storms of life become distant murmurs. It's a fortress of the mind, constructed not with stone, but with disciplined thought, unwavering principles, and a steadfast commitment to self-mastery. Within its walls, you are sovereign. Within its walls, you are safe not from pain or hardship, but from being defined or defeated by them. Building your inner citadel begins with self-awareness. You must know your mind's terrain, its strengths, its weaknesses, its triggers, its patterns. This requires unflinching honesty, a willingness to map out the cracks where doubt creeps in, the gates where fear enters, the walls where anger builds. It's not a what-I'm endeavor, but a lifelong discipline. Each day, you inspect your fortress. Each day, you reinforce it with reflection, with deliberate thought, with choices that align with your deepest values. You fortify it by questioning your assumptions, challenging your knee-jerk reactions, and replacing destructive habits with constructive ones. You build it brick by brick, thought by thought, decision by decision, until it becomes an impregnable refuge against the chaos of the external world. Meditation, journaling, and quiet contemplation are the tools of this construction. Spend time each morning fortifying your mind. Visualize your citadel, a place of strength, order, and calm. See yourself retreating there when life tests you. Imagine the walls standing firm against criticism, the towers rising above petty drama, the gates closing to distraction. Remind yourself of your core principles: courage, temperance, justice, wisdom. Let these be the pillars of your fortress. When the day throws challenges at you, return to this mental space. Ground yourself in it. Let it remind you who you are, not who the world wants you to be. Let it be the anchor that keeps you steady when everything else is in flux. Your inner citadel is also a place of preparation. Within its walls, you train for life's inevitable battles. You rehearse how you'll respond to anger, to failure, to loss. You practice patience, resilience, and restraint. You prepare not to avoid hardship, but to meet it with composure. The Stoic knows that life is a series of tests, and the citadel is where you sharpen your weapons, your reason, your discipline, your perspective. It's where you remind yourself that pain is inevitable, but suffering is optional. It's where you learn to see obstacles not as threats, but as teachers. It's where you cultivate the mental fortitude to face the world with clarity, no matter what it throws at you. Over time, this citadel becomes your default state. You no longer need to retreat to it consciously. You live from it naturally. It becomes the lens through which you see the world, the foundation from which you act. It protects you not by shielding you from reality, but by equipping you to face it with strength and serenity. It ensures that no matter what happens outside, you remain steady inside. Build it daily. Guard it fiercely. Live from it always. Your inner citadel is your greatest asset, your truest home, your ultimate power. It is the place where calm is not just a fleeting feeling, but a permanent state of being, a calm that endures through storms, through uncertainty, through the inevitable ups and downs of life. To start building your citadel, set aside 5 minutes each morning for quiet reflection. Close your eyes and imagine this fortress within you. Picture its walls, its strength, its stillness. Reflect on one principle or virtue you want to embody that day, perhaps patience, or courage, and commit to carrying it with you. When challenges arise, mentally return to this space. Remind yourself that you are safe within your citadel, that you can choose how to respond from a place of strength. Over time, this practice will deepen your inner resilience, making your calm unshakable. The journey to unshakable calm is not a destination, it's a way of being. It's a legacy you build for yourself, not through grand gestures or public acclaim, but through the quiet, consistent practice of Stoic principles. It's the legacy of a mind that refuses to be swayed by external chaos, a heart that remains steady in the face of adversity, a soul that finds peace not by escaping life's challenges, but by embracing them with wisdom and courage. This legacy isn't measured in wealth, status, or recognition. It's measured in the quiet knowing that you lived true to your values, that you faced life's storms with composure, that you became the person you were meant to be, regardless of what the world threw at you. Unshakable calm is the culmination of all the Stoic practices we've explored. Reframing your perception, guarding your attention, embracing discomfort, loving your fate, pausing before reacting, and building your inner citadel. It's the result of daily discipline, of choosing virtue over impulse, clarity over confusion, presence over distraction. It's the reward of self-reliance, of taking full responsibility for your inner world, even when the outer world is in disarray. This calm doesn't mean you'll never feel anger, fear, or sadness. It means those emotions no longer control you. It means you've built a foundation so strong that no external force can topple it. It means you've become your own refuge, your own anchor, your own source of peace. This legacy of calm leaves an imprint, not just on your own life, but on those around you. When you embody serenity in the midst of chaos, you become a quiet example for others. Your composure in conflict, your restraint in provocation, your clarity in uncertainty thus ripple outward, showing others what's possible. You don't need to preach or proselytize. Your way of being speaks louder than words. People will sense your strength, even if they can't name it. They'll feel your calm, even if they don't understand its source. And in a world of noise and reactivity, that presence is a rare and powerful gift. But the true legacy of unshakable calm is personal. It's the peace you carry with you to the end of your days, the knowledge that you lived with intention, that you didn't let the world dictate your worth or your state of mind. It's the satisfaction of knowing you faced life's inevitable hardships, not with bitterness or despair, but with resilience and grace. It's the quiet pride of having built an inner citadel that stood firm against every storm. As Seneca said, a good conscience is a continual feast. That feast is yours when you've lived in alignment with your principles, when you've cultivated a calm that no external force can shatter. To begin crafting this legacy, commit to one Stoic practice each week. Start with the Stoic pause, then move to voluntary discomfort, then to amor fati, and so on. Reflect on how each practice strengthens your calm. Write down your insights, your struggles, your victories. Over time, these small acts will weave together into a tapestry of resilience, a legacy of unshakable calm that defines who you are. You'll look back and see not a life of perfection, but a life of purpose, a life where you met every challenge with the quiet strength of a Stoic, where you turned every obstacle into a stepping stone, where you built a peace that endured. We've come full circle. The Stoic truth that perception is everything, that you are the prism through which life's light is refracted, is not just a philosophy, it's a power. It's the power to shape your reality, to find calm in chaos, to build strength in adversity. The world will never be still. It will always be messy, unpredictable, and indifferent. But you don't have to be. You can be the eye of the storm, the still point in a spinning world. You can bend the light of life toward peace, toward purpose, toward unshakable calm. The Stoics taught us that true freedom lies not in controlling the external, but in mastering the internal. They showed us that calm is not a gift bestowed by perfect circumstances, but a skill forged through deliberate practice. It's built through reframing obstacles as teachers, through guarding your attention like a fortress, through embracing your fate with love, through pausing before reacting, through remembering your mortality to live more fully. It's built through the daily choice to live with virtue, to retreat to your inner citadel, to rely on your own strength rather than the world's approval. So, take this truth and wield it. Stop waiting for the world to quiet down and start quieting your own mind. Stop seeking peace in external change and start building it within. Stop looking for life to be easy and start becoming strong enough to handle its hardness. Build your inner citadel, walk your disciplined path, live your virtuous life. Do it not for applause, but for alignment. Do it not for recognition, but for resilience. Do it not because the world demands it, but because you deserve it, a life of unshakable calm, a legacy of quiet power. Each day, as you face the light of life's events, remember, you are the prism. How that light splits into chaos or calm, suffering or strength is up to you. Choose wisely. Choose deliberately. Choose with the courage of a Stoic. And in doing so, create a life that doesn't just endure, but thrives, a life of clarity, of composure, of unshakable calm that stands as a testament to the power of your mind over the madness of the world. If this message resonates with you, please like, share, and subscribe for more content that will help you create the life you truly deserve. Thank you for watching. See you in the next video.